us know when you're ready.
Yeah, shoot us the link too for the YouTube. Somebody sent it to me. I'm gonna send it to a few people.
Is our audio gonna be live when the countdown starts
Audio's live right now.
on YouTube?
It should be. I just want to double check that everything is copacetic.
Yeah, it is.
Here.
It is
It
live.
is?
So should we be muted?
Probably. Make sure you guys mute your mics for now.
All right, guys. Welcome to the first episode of CryptoCast. I'm Mr. Mohawk. With me, as always, are Nikki and Frankie. What's going on, guys?
Nothing much.
Today will be, like I said, the first episode of what we're doing with CryptoCast. This podcast is essentially going to focus on the VC dynamic within LVT. Today we have our first guest, MetaMaster. What's going on, man?
What's up, guys?
Really happy to have you.
I'm really happy to be here.
So we have you on screen share. Appreciate the docs right off the bat. I'm gonna let Frankie and Nick start to roll in on what you have going on with the project and what your expectations are moving forward.
Perfect, man. Can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, so let's just go with let's just start with a little bit about what it is, if you want to say, as we know, it's MetaMon.
Yeah.
So just a little background on what your project is, and we get into it here.
Yeah. So a little bit of background. 26. I've lived, it feels like 1,000 different lives, as probably everybody else in this space. But this project is really a culmination of everything I've done as a human being up to this point, and also some of the passions from my childhood. It really getting into Web3, one of the biggest issues I see in this space aren't the rugs, but really the fact that we have so many people making such big wins and there's nothing to spend our money on. I think that's why we see the price reflected the way it is in some NFT projects like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, Doodles. Um, we all need our profile picture Lambos, if you will, to flex our status on Twitter. And that's cute. But really, I think what the space of Web3 is missing right now is not a metaverse game, but a metaverse experience, something that brings joy to the people in this space, something that maybe brings up a bit of nostalgia, and above all else, also gives you a positive ROI on your investment. Frankie.
All right. Not sure if Frankie went. So let's talk about a little bit about your team so far.
Awesome.
I see you just want to talk about who you have right now, and I know you're talking about getting some more people here, but
Absolutely. So to get a project like this off, so first of all, what MetaMon is it's a NFT project, of course. It's not going to be like a Polychain Monsters or an Ethermon where we're mimicking a card game or we're creating like an actual playable um, like game from an NFT project standpoint. We're going to try and do something different here, and that means that we need proper artists and some of the best of the best inside this space already. So just utilizing Discord and Twitter, I've been tracking people down the past 3 weeks and building my core team. What that kind of looks like so far is we have a full stack Solidity developer. We have a front end engineer who specializes in 3D rendering and web canvases, who is also a full stack in the Web3 space. I've just locked down a concept developer. So basically, we're going to be developing our own IP. We're going to have our own region with its unique lore. This region is most likely going to be based off of the Amazon rainforest. We haven't decided whether that's going to be drawing inspiration from Brazil, Ecuador, or Colombia yet. But it's going to be really, really cool to see this region come to life, drawing off of the unique biodiversity of that environment. And then creating 151 unique MetaMon from there. So his job is going to be the conceptualization. And then we have a person that he partners with all the time. Actually, I think I can show you guys here. So this is sort of their work. Can you guys see the stream?
yes, it's
Yeah, so this is like a fan project for Pokemon. Like these aren't real Pokemon. So this project is Pokemon inspired. So this art style is actually from the original developer of the series. So we're drawing from this art style. So I wanted to find people who could create our intellectual property while drawing on some of the nostalgic principles of the Pokemon franchise. So with that being said, we have a concept artist who's going to help us come up with the lore, the metadex entries, basically like making sure everything makes sense between evolutions, and creating really something of value. And then we have the person who's going to bring those concepts to life, which is the artist that you see here, who he's going to remain anonymous. So I'm just going to put the camera back this way. Other than that, we're looking to bring on either a 3D rendering team, like essentially hiring out somebody who can help us with maybe even rendering these 2D art styles into 3D assets as NFTs, and then additionally as 3D renders that you'll be able to interact with. But the entire front end of the website is going to be an immersive, interactive 3D experience, and we can get into that in a little bit more. So that's one of the heaviest costs in this project. Is we have all of the Solidity development taken care of, we have the art style taken care of, we have the lore, we have the intellectual property, and we have a couple irons in the fire for the 3D rendering. But it has to be done right. Like I can show you an artist here of what we're thinking of. Like just as an example, this guy does fantastic 3D renders, right?
Yeah.
Somebody with a love for Pokemon, maybe your NFTs are in a case such as this, but just like how realistic can we get this thing? Like sharing some of the audio here.
Yeah, no, that is
So this is what we want on the front end. And really what we want to do is kind of augment the NFT experience with great talent and great art. And we can get into a bit of this a little bit more in the future of this chat.
definitely. So you saw the pictures of the Pokemon, but you kind of want to do your own spin off of those, I guess you'd call
Right.
them creatures and stuff in your own spin. Um,
Right. So like less of a spin-off, more of a drawing inspiration from a really nostalgic series from my childhood. And I think that everybody here, if you're in the Web3 space, you're into gaming, you've experienced Pokemon at some point in time, it has a special place in your heart. Obviously, we can't use the intellectual property from the series because that wouldn't be good for investors. It'd be a massive risk.
yes.
However, what we can do is we can create our own intellectual property and draw off some of these principles and try and recreate the magic, if you will. And for me, some of that magic as a kid was that discovery process. So if anybody remembers back to Pokemon Blue, the part of the experience was walking into a brush and not knowing what you were going to encounter. Walking into a brush and figuring out how to catch Pokemon for the first time, or like growing with these monsters and then evolving them. And I guess me being sort of a completionist, the idea behind what we're doing with this project is a unique series of 151 IP. We're going to be drawing off of some of the logic from these series to create what we're calling the world's first non-generative RNG-based mint. It'll happen in like a 10-phase process, and each phase will represent like a unique part of the region and the Pokemon that are inspired from that part of the region. And then actually by collecting Pokemon from phases 2 through 9, if you collect, say, all the Pokemon from phase 2, you would receive essentially like a gym badge or a meta badge. And that badge would sit in real life on your case. Right. So imagine having like a badge case on your desk. Holding the NFT in the wallet actually makes a badge appear on the front end of the website. So like these NFTs have utility to the front end of our website. But more than that, by getting these badges, it would actually give you an allocation of market rewards. And since we're speaking about the team here, APA was one of my second or third mints that I was a part of. I love the idea that they had here with the giving mint rewards back and market rewards. Like we can see here that the way their marketplace is set up, they've actually distributed back to the community 912 AVAX, which I think is around like, I don't even want to do the math on that. I'll get it wrong. But basically, just by holding an APA, you're going to get distributions of market rewards. Obviously, like my wallet's not connected right now, but then through this claim function, you can claim those. So imagine these gym badges actually allocating like a portion of market rewards, right? And if I were to pull up a calculator right now and we were to do the math on, say, just the like using this as a guide, right? So even if we gave 0.0001% for each badge, that would be like $500 a badge at this volume. And then let's say that you collect all 8 gym badges, it would give you a boost of the market rewards, essentially giving you 0.001 instead of 0.0008. So like there's going to be mechanics built inside of this experience. We're not going to call it a game, but built inside this experience to sort of gamify the progression and the collection of the MetaMon. And then also we're placing a bounty on the first collector to collect 151 MetaMon, essentially completing the metadex. And this bounty is going to essentially be like a MetaMon master or a master of the metaverse. So we're planning on giving to that user a 101. So basically, like if you're looking at Pokemon, they have shiny variants. Our MetaMon will actually have a, let's say, for example, like a 1 in 4,000 chance on mint to mint a shiny variant of that Metamon. It's just a different attribute. But there will be like a 1 of 1, like Metamon number 151 will only have one shiny variant. And so for that shiny variant, essentially what would happen is like you would get a voucher and then you'd be able to go into a claim function. Therein, the remaining like 1,000, let's say 1,000 people after that actually complete their metadex, there will be rewards for them as well. They won't be able to claim the 150k bounty and get the 1 of 1 shiny Mew, if you will, but they will still have a reward worth being earning that completionist title. But yeah, guys.
So yeah, let's dig into tokenomics.
Yee!
I'm more in this. We were chatting last night, and I was actually pretty blown away as someone who really doesn't get NFTs. It seems there's a lot of criticism of visual based on hype, but you had engineered some unique tokenomics burns that create scarcity and rare that at the start aren't rare. They're super common. I think you mentioned one of the starter Metamon has the possibility of becoming one of the rarest items in this Metamon universe. Which show everyone the math. I thought it was thought it was super interesting.
Do you want me to pull up like the original 151 Pokemon as an example, or do we want to stay away from that?
Totally up to you. It's Pokemon
Right,
inspired.
Yeah, I think
Digimon's Pokemon inspired, so I think you're clear there.
Yeah, I think it's just easier with a little bit of a visual value, right? So like if we look at these sprites, these are the Gen 6 remakes of the Generation 1 sprites. They're not really sprites at this point, they're GIFs. So let's just take Bulbasaur, for instance, right? Let's say that, pull up the calculator again. You start with 3 starters, and phase 1 of the mint is just a starter phase. So imagine having a 10 phase mint. So 10 phases, there's going to be 10,000 per phase. And so you end up with a token supply or an NFT supply of 100,000. So this is your max cap. Like there will never be more Metamon than this at this present moment. So what ends up happening if we give, say, not an arbitrary number, but using RNG mechanics, let's say starter 1, 2, and starter 3, Squirtle, Charmander, Bulbasaur, each have like if you take 100%, you divide it by 3, you get 33.333, right? So they have a 33.333% chance. If you multiply this, basically you take 10K, you divide it by 33 just for easy numbers, right? Sorry. 10, 1, 2, 3, divided by 33. Jeez, I'm not doing math right now. But it comes out to basically 3,333. You multiply this times 3, you get close to 1,000. Basically, to make the math simple, you're going to mint the starters in the starter phase. Squirtle, Charmander, Bulbasaur. They'll be Metamon. We're just using these as examples visually. All right. So each of the starters have a 33% chance of being minted, meaning that all that will ever exist, like you won't be able to mint the starters in phases 2 through 10 because it wouldn't make sense. It's not true to the inspiration of the original series. So when you begin your journey, like there will only ever be potentially like 3,000 of this Metamon in existence, and maybe a couple shiny variants, like 1 out of 3,000, 1 out of 4,000 shiny variants, right? So the way that we're actually going to handle the issue of evolution is by burned token supply. So imagine to get from stage 1 to stage 2, you need to burn 3 stage 1. So basically, burning 3 Bulbasaur makes an Ivysaur. Then to make an Ivysaur into a Venusaur, you would burn 2, essentially needing 6. You would need 6 Bulbasaur. So divide this by 6. which means that all that could ever possibly exist of the Venusaur is about 500. But not everybody is going to play this way. We're going to have, before the actual mint phase, an item shop that allows you to purchase things like shiny charms, rare candies, evolutionary stones. So some players with more means may choose to go the route of utilizing things like rare candy to force their evolutions. Some people may only have the means to mint one of the first Metamon, like one Bulbasaur, if you will. But in essence, it's up to the community's actions to decide which of these get value. What happens if we burn all the Bulbasaur and there's only one left? Well, what's now rare? It's not the Venusaur, it's the Bulbasaur.
And that could happen to be the one guy who only had the means to mint that
One.
first Bulbasaur, and all of a sudden
Yeah.
his
Or the guy who got stuck on the Ivysaur evolution, right?
exactly.
And then also inside of this, true to the nature of the series, by collecting the first one and evolving it, even though the prior evolutions are burned, in the decks it'll actually still hold the value. Like the Venusaur will hold the value collection for the other two. But if you were to buy just the Venusaur from the secondary market, you wouldn't get the you have to at least have held the NFT in your wallet at one point to get the claimed value in the decks, right? So by evolving it, you may end up with just a Venusaur, but you will have credit for the Bulbasaur and Ivysaur as well. Whereas if you just buy this on the secondary market to complete the decks. So as you can see, there's going to be people who are participating from the beginning and they're going to have the advantage. Then you're going to have people relying on the secondary sales or the secondary marketplace, trying to complete the decks and claim the bounty and just, be a completionist.
Can you speak to the strategy that you'd come up with to kind of stop bad actors from gaining an unfair advantage?
Right. Stopping bad actors from gaining an unfair advantage. So imagine that this is in a 3-phase mint. So first of all, let's talk about the front end of the website really quick, because I think that's super important. This website is kind of what started it all for me. It's a really terrible website, but it's an awesome website at that. It looks to be a 3D render, right? All these assets are rendered in 3D. But in reality, when you pull the asset, what you're seeing is a 5-second video play and then a computer. And in my thought, I've worked 5 years as an entrepreneur, working with different companies, national brands, retailers on the digital advertising side of things. And I've also built front-end websites for clients across the states. But when I look at this, I'm like, this is a cool idea, but this could be done better. So if I pull up, say, this site, Bruno Simmons, who is actually I've been having conversations with Bruno about the best way to go about the front end for our project. So this is like a 3D render, 5 seconds, and then now you're interacting with a HTML canvas, right? Player select, and then you can play this game inside of this canvas, and it makes it seem like it's real. It's like a half-baked idea that's kind of there, but not really. Whereas Bruno is on the other side of the spectrum, where you can actually drive this little truck around and it interacts with a 3D environment, right? So what we're going to do is kind of take the best of both worlds to create the least amount of load on the interface. But essentially, the front end of the website will launch with phase 1. And phase 1 will be a item presale where people will be able to augment their experience in-game by acquiring items such as rare candies, shiny charms, evolutionary stones. Phase 2 of the experience is the actual 10-phase mint. And you will own your NFTs, but you will not be able to transfer your NFTs on OpenSea until phase 10 of the mint completes. And then after that, it initiates phase 3, which is the actual opening of the secondary sales marketplace. Okay? So basically what we're trying to prevent is people with lots of money to throw around just basically going around and buying all the Pokemon before the game has the chance to properly mint and people have the chance to experience the evolutions themselves. Because as you're minting, you'll be able to evolve certain Metamon. You'll be able to engage in certain secret interactions that were true to the original series that we're going to try and make available in this NFT experience. How all this ties in back to here, it's not relating to the bad actors, but with our front end, we're going to create an environment that corresponds with the lore that we're creating, but also allows for the user to feel like, yes, I'm on a computer, a desktop, but I'm interacting in an actual world that exists in the metaverse. So imagine being like a college age student in, say, like Brazil, who is legitimately living in the, we'll say, air quotes, MetaMon universe. What would their desk look like? What would their computer look like? Maybe it's an old computer like this. So essentially, our front end will be like a mix of 1990s meets lo-fi meets MetaMon universe, right? And each item on the desk will have like a specific purpose. Going back to the idea of the badge case, when you hold the NFT, it actually makes the badge appear, which activates the claim function for you to claim your secondary rewards. If we're looking at something like a DEX, like a MetaDex, like this, it would actually open up and you'd be able to see the collection of your MetaMon, what you have collected, what you haven't collected. And it is to be noted that like I aim to be able to make the Discord available. Like imagine pressing Discord in the navigation, right? And you're actually like taken in like this 3D world over in a pre-programmed move, sort of like a cutscene in a video game, to the computer, and then it actually allows you to interface with your Discord from our D application. Like that's so rad. Like we're trying to create an immersive experience where you're not leaving the D app and breaking that sense of immersion. Like you're able to access, we're recreating like the OpenSea interface. By the way, it's an Ethereum Polygon launch. Polygon's going to be better for the gas fees. Ethereum's going to be better for the value and longevity of the project. But imagine like instead of having to go to OpenSea, you can interact with it directly from the desktop. When you mint, like there is special animations and interactions that occur to make the whole process feel special. You'll have the ability to turn off some of those animations if you're doing like 100 MetaMon at once, because that's just necessary. But imagine too interacting with the decks, and like we're taking the time to render these art styles in 3D, right? So like say the MetaMon, if we go back to Colossal or Crimson, like these MetaMon, you'll actually be able to see them. Kind of the idea is mini MetaMon on the tabletop as miniatures and interact with them as well. So like the decks would project the MetaMon onto the table if you have collected them, and allow for special interactions for NFT holders. The mobile phone is actually going to be something separate entirely. You wouldn't mint from mobile, you'd mint from desktop, but the phone would actually augment the experience. Like you would be able to go through the phone and you'd be able to look through it and swipe through it like it's an actual MetaDex in real life. You can see what you have yet to collect and what you have collected. You could see the 3D renders and engage with the lore. And maybe by swiping right on the screen as a gesture, you can access the secondary sales marketplace and list your list your MetaMon right from the mobile device. You know, so that's what we're building in a nutshell.
So, as far as sustainability goes,
Right.
what are your plans to kind of build upon this? What's the first mint phase is complete? Do you plan to expand the universe, go to other regions? Touch on
I
that a
think,
little bit.
yeah, I think we are engaging. There's three possibilities that I can see so far. The first one, so we don't want to devalue products, right? We don't want to devalue the NFT. So let's say we have 100K, 1, 2, 3, and everybody burns 6 and makes at least one evolution, right? So now we're left with like 16,000 NFTs in the ecosystem. So because of the deflationary tokenomics, if it ever got to a point where we're just left with like 500 MetaMon, which isn't as likely, but you could actually implement a breeding system. And since we're going for this immersive, interactive environment, what I think would be super cool would be like you breed, it makes an egg. The egg is on your MetaDex on your phone and connected to a steps tracker. And by walking like 20K steps in real life, like your egg will hatch into like the stage 1 evolutionary form, thus creating like a Tamagotchi-esque experience. Like we're really trying to recreate nostalgia in this experience or this project inside of MetaMon. The second option is to actually move forward, utilizing some of the proceeds, some of the profits to create a new region with new MetaMon and actually garner community vote as if we're operating as a DAO on what region that should be. And people will actually be able to submit fan art and to be able to interact and be involved in this experience, expanding the metaverse, if you will. And then the third option is truly augmenting the experience and throwing a hefty sum of money post mint into creating a Go-esque, like a Pokemon Go or a MetaMon Go-esque experience where you can have your NFTs on your MetaDex on your phone, on your mobile device. You can augment the experience in front of you, like point the device at the phone, and like you would see your MetaMon appear on the desk, right? And if you encountered other MetaMon trainers in the wild, maybe they could do some sort of augmented reality battle in person, which I think would be just so cool.
So basically, you don't intend to create a card game, but as far as the future goes, you can tie in, elements from the real world, the metaverse, and create an experience for people. Also,
Yeah, and I think the key phrase is immersion, right? Like I'm not as interested with moving a sprite around a computer screen with my arrow keys anymore. I want to create an experience that actually makes you feel a part of something bigger than yourself. There's the community aspect, but there's also like I think it's the gestalt of it, right? It's a bunch nothing what I'm saying is out of the realm of possibility. It's just a bunch of simple actions done with such precision and such attention to detail that you don't break immersion. It's almost like a good movie you can't look away from, right? It's just the camera angles and everything is so well thought out and well done that it immerses you in the environment to where you're watching this scene from, say, like Dune, and it just feels real. You're just like, the special effects feel so real. Like I feel like I'm a part of this universe. So we're utilizing nostalgia and creating that immersive feel. So I don't want to go the route of, say, Ethermon, where we're doing a card game and then these cards are used like in a Unity 3D environment game that's just frankly shit because they've already made their money and ran. I don't want to do a polychain monsters. They got the RNG element right with the booster pack openings. However, where they get it wrong is just the value of their creatures is cents to the dollar. It's not good for investors. And what we can do here is do something totally different and in our own lane, using inspiration from childhood, and then create something so polished, so premium on the front end that it's something that people just want to be a part of, you know?
yeah. So you say your main competition is Ethermon and Polychain. Do
Sure.
you see any other projects in this space that you could compare it to? Any other NFTs as far as
No,
creating value of the NFT?
no. So honestly, like the biggest threat right now is this conversation and putting the idea of a non-generative mint deflationary tokenomics NFT project out into the wild. And yeah, like that's the honest truth, biggest threat, because nobody out there right now is pursuing this idea. We are going to have some metrics for sustainability. Like this project's not going to come out without a CERTIC audit, and this project's not going to have a public code bed. So we're not going to allow people to fork this project because it would take all value away from it. But yeah, man, I think our biggest competition right now is ourself. It's exceeding the standards that I have set for the people that I've brought onto the team so far. And honestly, like I think the role of founder in this situation is finding the best talent, getting them inspired to work on this project, and then also just drawing out the best of their giftings and the best of their talents and coming together to create something so much bigger than just one person could have done on their own.
Cool. So as far as it seems like it's very much in the conceptualization stage. You've got most of the back end team, front end team, to bring some artists on. Where do you see this project starting to hit the market? I know you had mentioned that you don't want to
Yep.
early release the MetaMon, but there were some other things, could be on some sort of pre-sale, not necessarily
Yeah.
a whitelist. You want to talk about a little bit?
Yeah. So I'm seeing right now and if we have to push 4-month build time, I'm just giving myself a little love and cushion right now. But we're truly looking at a 3-month release. We're starting development on the 3rd. So essentially, when I say starting development, what that means is boots on the ground running. So on the 3rd, what will take place is our Solidity developers, like I've already have an Excel spreadsheet drafted up we're utilizing the logic. So basically, by using DEX numbers, we can use the same logic to create the RNG effects and the smart contracts. We'll be working on the secondary sales marketplace and the payment gateway, which we should definitely talk about the transparency there. And while we're working on the smart contract, our 3D artist will be working on the framework for the front end. Our front end is going to be working on the canvases that are going to sit inside the 3D renders. And simultaneously, our concept artist and me are going to be working closely together to stay true to a region, create an authentic lore, and create intellectual property. And then he will be handing off descriptors to the artist. The artist will be churning out 5 to 20 a week. And then once the front end 3D render is finished, he will shift over to creating the MetaMon as NFTs and then the NFTs as 3D renders. And then, yeah, I think as long as we are working quite agile, it is totally possible to do this in 3 months. The biggest bottleneck is the actual 3D rendering and the art. So by bringing more people on, by having the funds to do that, we can enhance the speed of delivery. We need to have the code bed done in the next month. That way we can send it off to CertiK for an audit. There's no way I'm releasing a project after this past month without an audit being done. And especially I know you guys are a VC, so we have already discussed pricing, budget, what you would get in return. Things of that nature won't be controlled by me or the company built into the backend. So one of our developers, our marketplace developer, did Avalanche Party Animals. He did their secondary sales, so he has a lot of this code bed already pre-built. Same idea with the people I'm bringing on, Crimson here. This is what they do. So it's not like we're a team of college kids who are friends and we're just like, oh, I love Pokemon and I love money. Let's do an NFT project. So what we're doing here is the same guy who's doing our marketplace will be helping us create a very transparent payment system to where the allocation of the funds from the mint are actually dispersed throughout the Solidity code, which is also why it's so important for us to get the audit done to make sure there's no vulnerabilities inside of our smart contracts.
Yeah, I really appreciate that commitment to visibility and transparency. Obviously, you're already doxxed. You use your first and last name. You're up on video right now. I definitely intend to dox as soon as this Ring Madness calms down a little bit. Kind of scary to be in my position right now.
Yeah, I bet, man.
Blood, it seems.
There's a lot of blood in the water from all the scandals.
Yeah, after this month we've had. As far as being in good investment for a venture capital firm like us, what value do you add back to LVT as us being a part of your company?
Guaranteed percentage of the mint, right? So that's the deal I've already structured with Omega. Is what we're asking for is not ludicrous for a startup project, and I think people do need to be aware of what a VC does and at what stage they're coming in on the project, and why I'm up here talking about a concept as opposed to here's my code bed and here's assets we've created. But essentially, I would be offering a percentage of the gross profit of the organization back to LVT. And that's just the incentivized structure of helping us get this thing off the ground. And guys, LVT's already helped us get a Discord up, so we'll share the link in YouTube and we'll share the link in their Discord. And yeah, I think as long as we hit our benchmarks and we stay the course, there's no reason to think why we would not be able to return the percentage that we've discussed with Omega.
Got it. Yeah, guys, I want to reiterate, we've had some criticism that our treasury is big enough to be a VC. This isn't, we're not starting the next Airbnb. The DeFi space is for everyone. So it doesn't take as much money to get a company around and see the insane returns.
And honestly, just because I preach transparency above all else, being a good human being and trying to bring joy into the world. And this will be public knowledge in the future anyways, but I've requested, I think the original application was 60K to 120K of funding to pay developers and artists, and then also to do things like the CertiK audit, and have a 20K cushion, oh shit fund in case we did want to speed up development or we were falling behind and needed to hire another developer. And basically, like my funding breakdown is based on a 3-month development cycle. But yeah, and then looking at the return for somebody like LVT, even 5% of our mint would be like 500K. So that's a 5x return on an investment for LVT.
And that's a conservative estimate. I mean, you never really know where projects.
Oh yeah,
That's the other advantage is, guys, we're so early that, you're just hearing the idea now. Nick's been gracious enough to share it with the world. There's a lot of risk involved with, sharing your idea before you've actually put it into motion. So we really appreciate you coming on and sharing that with us.
Yeah.
About ready to wrap it up here. Just want to remind everyone the podcast is really just to get the ideas that are submitted to us, get the good ones, and give them a platform to introduce you guys to the community. It's going to be hopefully a weekly thing, maybe more often. It depends on the ideas that come in, quality of them. I think Nick here has an amazing idea. It'll be great for investors. Going on that nostalgia with Pokemon. That's
MetaMon, yeah.
MetaMon, yeah. Can't say the P word, but
I think I've been throwing it around all day.
yeah. But it's Pokemon inspired. There's a whole world
Absolutely.
of what would you call it? Fakemon, I think it's called.
Actually, that's how I found my designers. I came across the word the other day. It's called Fakeamon, and basically, like, there's a whole community that exists that's just creating these Fakeamon, if you will, that are inspired by the, I'm going to screw this word up, but the Sugami, the original creator's art style. And they create their own regions. They promote them to their YouTube content. Some people even go the distance of making their own games. So there's an entire community here that we could draw off of, which is awesome. However, I'm not looking to get sucked into what they're currently doing, but to elevate what they're doing and bring some of the principles into the world of Web 3.0.
Awesome. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for the first episode. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I promise you we'll get better with those. This is first time for all of us doing this, so the future's bright for MetaMon, for LVT, for the crypto community as a whole. Super excited to start 2022 off with an exciting idea like what Nick has brought to us.
It's a great way to start the year, dude. It has me so floored.
I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you for joining us. We will have other episodes of the podcast that will be more LVT centric. But like I said, this is just a way to get these ideas out into the community, get them talking, and then we'll get community involvement in selecting where the funding goes. So this entire project depends on all of you participating and moving forward. We're really excited about the future. But Nick and Mohawk, if you want to say your piece before we sign off, go ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Just Happy New Year to everyone. And like Frankie said, just want to reiterate that this is to bring projects in front of you guys to kind of get a feel. It's not something with guaranteed backing. It's something that we're bringing out because we think it could possibly be a good project for you all. So just keep that in mind when we have these up. I see a lot of comments in general chat saying devs had decided already, and so on. But
no decision has been made yet. Yeah,
Yes.
guys, this presence on the podcast is not a guarantee that any funding will happen. It is just a place where we can get exposure to these ideas.
So, like Frankie said, we'd like to get you guys one of these a week if we can, maybe more. So you guys have options of where you want to vote these funds. And thank you to Nick here, MetaMaster, for bringing his project on.
Thanks, guys.
Like you said, I'm sure a lot of you grew up on Pokemon, and now MetaMon could be the next thing with all you DeFi degens out there. So,
did you guys want to address some of these comments in here?
Yeah, let's see.
Or do like an AMA style thing? Because I think somebody said like back to LVT or to LVT holders. Please clarify. I think that's an excellent question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have that pulled up. What's the question?
Yeah, I stopped my screen share, so I was able to pull up the YouTube chat. But Buddha77 asked if 5% that we'd be paying back to LVT, because that's what I had said. Is that going to LVT's treasury, or is that going back to LVT holders, or is that an Omega question?
So the treasury as a whole, depending on how successful it is, will determine the rate of returns. So this is just this. Say you got funding, this would just be one investment of many. Right now, we're at the 15% per month for sustainability. But if business is booming, bet that LVT holds the ones that are rewarded. It's not reliant on just one single project, one investment. It's the bigger picture as a whole.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then for Looty Booty, we don't have a website up, and we were gracious enough to have LVT do a Discord for us. So I definitely just want to put that in there. Like, well, we'll have the links for the Discord, and definitely anybody interested in this project or with any skills to contribute, like hop in there. That'd be awesome.
Perfect. Yeah. And we can, after we get the Discord finalized for him and everything, we can shoot that out so you guys can maybe get some more questions in with him after
Exactly.
this.
Like I see a question for when evolving, is there going to be a difference in rarity of a forced evolution versus a natural evolution? And this is a beautiful question, man. So like DTK game, if we get people like this inside of our Discord, we're going to have a suggestions channel for you guys. Like I would love to have these conversations.
Yeah, so so yeah, further questions about the game, we'll get you guys that Discord and you guys can talk to him one-on-one and also possibly even give him suggestions that he could take into account. I believe Mohawk, if you want to say any final words here.
I just wanted to add one thing. That's
Yeah.
that's the whole point of being early too, guys, is you get to participate
Yes.
in the early evolution of a project. I've said this since day one. This is crowd-funded venture capitalism, crowdsourced venture capitalism. So we all have a voice. VC firms, they don't just inject money into projects when they invest in them. They inject ideas, they bring expertise.
They help you
like
set
Nick
up
already said, we
Yeah.
set up a Discord. We've got a large team of very talented individuals, and it's not just money that we're putting up. It's going to be support, promotion, all of the above. So,
And do you mind if I just hit this really quick? So first
for
of
it.
all, from OP, there's not any Pokemon trademark issues because the intellectual property is tied to the creatures and their names they're in. We're creating our own intellectual property. For Elaine Rescues, he says that there's so many projects like this. How do you plan to be different? And I think we kind of covered that a little bit in the tokenomics. There isn't a project out there, and if there is, please link it to me with a max supply of NFTs and a deflationary model to actually generate that I guess rarity and scarcity. But on top of that, the RNG aspect of being non-generative, when you mint, there will be a percentage chance of what you will mint. Some MetaMon will be rarer to mint than others, which means that their evolutionary lines will be harder to achieve. So through there is actual scarcity already baked into the protocol. And then on top of that, we're adding the idea of shinies. So you actually, every MetaMon except possibly the pseudo legendaries will have a shiny variant. The pseudo legendaries will have a shiny variant. You won't be able to get them on mint. You'll be able to get them through actually completing the meta decks. But with that being said, if you have say like a 1 in 3,000 chance without a shiny charm of minting a shiny, then you can imagine that out of 100,000 mints, there's probably only going to be like 3,000 shinies in the environment, which just means like crazy value for investors.
Awesome, dude. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming on. If you get selected for funding, this won't be the first time you're on the podcast. I'd love to bring you back, continue this.
And thank you to everybody in the chat.
As a community.
Yeah, I love it, man. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
We'll link the Discord for Nick's project in general chat, and you guys can go and feed your questions directly to him. I'll be keeping an eye on that Discord as it rolls off the ground. So just want to thank everyone. We'll do this again with fewer technical difficulties. I apologize again. But thanks for coming in, and tune in next week, and we'll have something new for you guys.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks again, guys.
You.